Okay.
Okay, we're good, Rabbi.
Boker Ora Botai. Another day of Bekiim Bahalacha. Today, B'siyata D'Shmaya, we are up to day number 34, and that is going to be the last installment for Birkat Torah. B'Azrat Hashem, after we finish today, we're going to have a review that you have for Friday, Shabbat, and then B'Azrat Hashem Sunday, we hope to send our members a test. The test is to your advantage. These are easy questions. You have, multiple choice. And Baruch Hashem, last round, we had over 500 members that took the test. And the majority of them, large majority, did well. So again, make the review over the Shabbat. Sunday will begin the next part of the curriculum. Now, I received a question yesterday from Eretz Israel, from a lady. And she's listening to these, halachot every single day from Birkat Torah. And she says, Kvod Arav, does this apply to ladies? Are we obligated in Birkat Torah? That Rav didn't mention, you're assuming we're talking to men, but what about the women? Are women obligated to make Birkat Torah? That was a question. It's a very good question. The short answer was yes. But today, in her honor, I'd like to give the long answer. The question is, are ladies hayavot in Birkat Torah? So there was a great rabbi called Mahari Molid, Rabbi Yaakov Molid. He was one of the Rishonim. He was born in the 1300s. And he was the rabbi in Worms, Vermeisa, Germany. That's where she was from as well. And sometimes they call him Mahari Sigal, because he was a Levi. Sigal is Segan Levi, because he was a Levi. And Mahari Molin, he wrote minhagim, many minhagim. He was also a Hazan. He wrote a lot of piyutim. They say he was an astronomer as well. But most importantly, he was a great, great Gaon. And a lot of the customs of the Ashkenazim come from Mahari Molin. Anyway, he writes that even though the Gemara in Sotah on page 21 says that you shouldn't teach your daughters Torah. The Gemara says whoever teaches their daughters Torah, you're causing her to get into trouble, whatever that means. So it sounds like from the Gemara, Torah study is not for the ladies. So he comes along and he says that's only Torah Sheba'al Peh. That's only the oral Torah. That's why we don't have any ladies in our Daf Yomi Shi'ud in the mornings, because we don't recommend them to study Torah Sheba'al Peh. However, if you come on Thursdays, we have Kin Yirbu. Many ladies come to the Perashah class. Why? Because there's a difference between Torah Sheba'al Peh and Torah Shebichtav. And Mari Molin writes that ladies are obligated to study Torah Shebichtav. So therefore, for that, they should study Parashat HaShavua. It was known that the ladies used to read the book, Ashkenaziyot, Se'ena Ur'ena. Se'ena Ur'ena was like a review of the Parashah. It was in Yiddish, and they made it in Hebrew, so they have it in English. And the ladies have to know basic Parashat HaShavua. And therefore, he says, why not make Birkat Torah? Furthermore, ladies have to pray. And in the olden days, the ladies didn't pray the minimum. The ladies prayed whatever the men prayed, including the Korbanot. So a lady gets up in the morning, she has to say Korbanot, let's say. Now, Korbanot is the Divrei Torah. You're reading the Ketoret, you're reading the Korban Tamid, and all the Braitot, etc. So therefore, without a doubt, the ladies are obligated in that. Thirdly, and this is probably the greatest argument why ladies should make Birkat Torah, is because V'chi, ladies don't have to learn the halachot that apply to them. Ladies have to keep Shabbat, by the way. So therefore, they have to learn halachot Shabbat. Ladies have tarat mishpacha. They have to learn. Ladies need to know the laws of kashrut, maybe even more than the men, because they're the mashgichot of the kitchen, or the laws of Yom Tov. So there's enough Torah. Ladies take challah, so they have to learn Hilchot challah. And the laws of, but these laws are Birkat HaShachar that we're learning now. All the Birkat HaShachar apply to the ladies as well. So there's enough parts of Torah that the ladies would be obligated. So there's three strong arguments again why ladies should make Birkat Torah. I'm reviewing the arguments again. Argument number one from the Maharim Mulin is maybe they're not obligated in Torah Sheba'al Peh, but they're obligated in Torah Shebichtav, to be Tanakh. Number two, the ladies pray. A lot of the prayers have korbanot. Therefore, korbanot is Torah. And thirdly, what about all the Torah that they have to study to know what they need to fulfill? Based on this, we can say that ladies should say Birkat Torah. Now we go to the other side. You see, in halakha, there's always two sides. One side says for sure, but there's another side. There was a great rabbi called the Beta Levi. That's the great rabbi from the Soloveitchik dynasty. So Beta Levi, he writes in his Teshuvot, he says, no, according to my opinion, after analyzing the Gemara, ladies are exempt from learning Torah. And if they're exempt, you can't tell them to make a berachah, so they're exempt. But he writes, we have a famous opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam says that even if a lady is exempt from a mitzvah, if she wants to fulfill that mitzvah and make a berachah, she may. For example, a lady is exempt from lulav. She wants to shake the lulav. She has a desire to shake a lulav. According to Rabbeinu Tam, she could say, Asher kedeshanu mustav v'sivanu al netilat lulav. Even though she really wasn't commanded, no, she is commanded less than a man, but she can still say the beracha. She wants to go to the shul, or she wants to hear shofar. She's able to hear the shofar, and she can even make a beracha. The opinion of Rabbeinu Tam is any mitzvah that a lady is exempt from because it's bound by time, if she wants to fulfill it, she can make a beracha. So says Beta Levi, Birkat Torah won't be any different. She's not obligated to study Torah, but if she wants to study Torah, good luck to her, and she can make the beracha voluntarily. Now, if that's the opinion of the Beta Levi, it's not going to help us, because we don't follow the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam, the Sfaradim. We follow the opinion of Harambam. And the Rambam says ladies are not allowed to make a beracha on the mitzvah that they are not obligated to fulfill. So, for example, let's say a lady comes on Sukkot, and you come home with your lulav, and she said, do me a favor, please, I want to shake the lulav also. Okay, maybe make lunch, that's more important. But okay, let's say she wants to shake the lulav also. So now we give her the lulav, and she says, I want to make a beracha. No, don't make a beracha. No, but I heard there's Rabbeinu Tam. Okay, you Ashkenazi or Sephardi? If you're Ashkenazi, make the beracha. But with Sfaradim, we follow Harambam. She could shake the lulav, bili beracha. And then after she finishes shaking the lulav, okay, now I want to go sit in the sukkah. We have Ta'ani today. She doesn't want to cook. She just wants to do mitzvot. So now we go into the sukkah, and she's about to say, Asher Kadesha. Hey, slow down. Just like you didn't make a beracha on the lulav, you don't make a beracha on the sukkah. We follow Harambam. So according to this, it's not going to help us, the Beta Levi's logic. The Beta Levi is saying, oh, ladies can make Birkat Torah because it's they're exempt, but they're allowed to make the beracha based on the Rabbeinu Tam. Again, we're not going to be able to obligate ladies based on that reason because we don't agree with the opinion of the Rabbeinu Tam. However, we have other reasons, as I mentioned above. And again, the most convincing reason, and Abchida brings it as well, is that although ladies might not be obligated to study Torah that doesn't apply. For example, a lady doesn't have to study the Masechet Uksin or Masechet Erchin, these laws that have no application today. A man does. We're obligated to study all parts of Torah, whether they apply, whether they don't apply. Ladies are more into the practical knowledge, exactly. And therefore, Rafaidah says, for the practical knowledge alone, that should give them the merit to make the beracha. And in truth, that's the way we hold. Ladies make Birkat Torah? Now, but now we have a part two to this question. Okay, Hakam, so you're telling me according to the Sfaradim, we have Rabbi and we have the Maharimulin, very one of the early Rishonim. They're allowing the ladies to make Birkat Torah. So the question is like this: they're allowed or they're obligated? That's a different question. I mean, there's two different levels. Meaning, is it voluntary? If they want to make it, they can, based on the logic we said. Or do we say, no, based on the logic we just provided, they're mandated to make the Birkot Torah. So the issue over here is questioning the words of Shulchan Aruch. In Shulchan Aruch Siman Mem Zayin, his language is Nashim mevarchot Birkat Torah. Ladies make the beracha. Sounds like they can make it. Or does it mean they should make it? Actually, and hold on to your seats, it's tremendous hadush. According to Hacham ben Sion Abba Shaul, in his order Tzion, he says it's voluntary for the ladies to make Birkot Torah. It's not mandatory. They should, if they want to make it, they can, but they're not obligated. He holds that their obligation is not like the men clearly, and therefore, all Shulchan Aruch is saying, if they want, they can. However, we don't hold like that opinion. We hold like the Levush, we hold like Rav Chida, and we hold like Chacham Ovadia, that ladies are obligated to make Birkot HaTorah. So put that to rest. So that's the long answer from Israel. Are ladies obligated in all this stuff? Absolutely. We follow the opinion of Chacham Ovadia. So a lady, when she gets to Birkot HaTorah, she shouldn't say, well, yeah, this morning I'm going to say it, but tomorrow maybe I'll make another decision. No, she's obligated to make it like the men every day. I said like the men. I'm not so sure about that, because there's a opinion of the Pri Hadash that even if you want to say that ladies make Birkot Torah, it's not going to be on the Deoraita level. Remember, we learned early on in Bekiim, is it an obligation from the Torah to make Birkat Torah? We said it's a mahloket. The Ramban says it's a mitzvah from the Torah, like Birkat Hamazon. Harambam said it's a mitzvah midrabbanan. That's regarding the men. However, when it comes to the ladies, all will agree that even those that say to make the beracha, it's not going to be on the Torah level, because clearly they don't have the same obligation to study Torah. So clearly, if a lady, let's say, is in doubt if she said Birkat Torah or not, since it's for sure rabbinical according to our opinion, safek berachot le'akel, she will not make the beracha. If a man has a safek, then we'll tell the guy, listen to somebody else, have kavanah havat olam, meaning we try to negotiate that. Okay, we don't just discount it. But if the lady has a safek, we tell her, okay, there's always tomorrow. Furthermore, what if you have a case where the lady wants to say the Birkat Torah for the men? Okay, oy lo, to such a man that has to rely that his wife has to make the Birkut Torah for him. Why is he making it himself? So, you have a case, maybe he's oleh, or maybe he's unable to say it for some reason, whatever it may be. So he tells his wife, you didn't make Birkut Torah yet. So here we have the opinion of the Pri Megadim that's brought in the Halacha, in the Biur Halacha, and he wants to come along and say, why not? And therefore he says it should be okay. Again, we're not so sure about that. And again, because a lady's obligation is only midrabanan. A man's obligation might be deoraita, if you follow the opinion of the Ramban. So they're on different levels. So therefore, Hacham Ovadia holds preferably a lady should not relieve the obligation of a man by saying the Birkat Torah, because again, even if we're telling her to make the beracha, it's on a different level. But Hacham Ovadia writes, if let's say she did already, then we're not going to make the guy make the beracha again, because we say safek berachot lakir, because you have the Pri Megadim that said that if she did it, it's okay. Now we go into another discussion. Another discussion would be a child. What would you say about a child? Should a child make Birkat Torah? Of course. We want the children to have the proper chinuch. So what's the proper chinuch? Playing on the phone all day? The proper chinuch is to pray. So we teach them Birkat Torah, we teach them Shema Yisrael, we teach them the Amidah, and that's the parent's obligation. Let's say it's the father's obligation to give chinuch. So now the sheila is, you have a boy, and the father wants to give the kid chinuch and says, "My dear son, today you're going to make the Birkat Torah for me. I'm going to answer amen, and you're going to fulfill my obligation." Is that permissible or not? So here's the problem. For sure, the child's obligation at most is midrabanan. At most, he's a katan. Katan can never be deoraita. He's not bar mitzvah yet. Now, this drabanan is on who? Is on the father. So it's a drabanan on the father to fulfill possibly a mitzvah drabanan. So we call that tre drabanan. The drabanan of chinuch on the mitzvah drabanan. Now let's say the adult. What's his obligation? Let's say according to the Rabbi, drabanan, but it's one drabanan. So tre drabanan cannot be motzi had drabanan. Explain again. The child's chinuch, before we even get to the mitzvah, the child's obligation is midrabanan. It's chinuch. Chinuch is drabanan. So that's one drabanan. And what type of mitzvah is he fulfilling? The Rabbanan, according to the Ramban, according to Harambam, it's the Rabbanan. So you have the Rabbanan of Chinuch on a mitzvah the Rabbanan. That's called Rabbanan to the second power. Tred Rabbanan. And the adult, what's his level, according to Harambam? One Rabbanan. Now Chinuch, he's obligated. So you have a two Rabbanan cannot be mutzi a one. One is stronger. He's already diluted already. It's a Rabbanan of a Rabbanan. So, and especially if you're going to follow Ramban's opinion, the adult's obligation is the oraita. So how can you say a katan who's the rabbanan can be motziei the oraita? So therefore, the advice is we do not listen to the katan's beracha to be motzi, and that's why he writes in halacha lamezayin katan mevarech berkot Torah midin chinuch, but eno yachol leotzi et hagadol. Okay, now let's get to another case. This is an interesting case. I think I said the story early on, but I'll tell the story again. Everybody likes their stories. Ger Tzedek, a convert. So the convert goes into the mikveh. He has to make sure the second he comes out of the mikveh, now he's Jewish. He can't learn anything until he makes Birkat Torah. One time there was an Arab, and he used to work in the shul over there, and he got friendly with the Jews, and he learned all the minhagim and the customs, and he wanted to convert. So he went to the Bekiim Bahalacha Shalom, and they tested him, and they gave him the whole, preparation. Finally, they gave him a brit milah, and he has to go to mikveh. Now he comes out of the mikveh, finally gets dressed. He's so excited that he's Jewish now. So he says, all my life I'm waiting to say Shema Yisrael as a Jew. He says, Shema Yisrael, Adonai. Says, that's your first Avirah. You didn't say Birkat Torah. Birkat Torah. He said, what are you Birkat Torah? He said, you're Jewish now. In the morning you were Goy. Birkat Torah doesn't count as a Goy. You can't say Shema Yisrael without saying Birkat Torah. So that would be an interesting halakha. So he has to say the Birkat Torah. The next case, which is a very, very interesting case, which is more common than a convert case, is a minor on the day of his bar mitzvah. Let's speak the case. You have a boy, Siman Tov Mazal Tov. Till now he was a katan. Every day he says Birkat Torah as a minor. Now, Tuesday night, he becomes bar mitzvah. Now he's fully bar mitzvah. Now it's after shki'ah. Now he's fully bar mitzvah. He bangs on the teva. Rabotai, in honor of my bar mitzvah, I would like to now present a beautiful pilpul, divrei Torah, dushim. Okay, everybody is excited now to hear the speech of the bar mitzvah boy. He prepared it. All of a sudden the Rav gets up and says, hey, Birkat Torah. Not Birkat Torah. I made Birkat Torah this morning. Hey, this morning you were a katan. This morning you were a katan. Now you became a gadol. How could you? The mitzvah that you did when you were a minor, that was chinuch. Now you have a different obligation. So the question is, does the katan who becomes bar mitzvah have to make Birkat Torah on the night of his bar mitzvah before he makes his speech. So Shalom, he says actually, yes, he does. But then he writes that there's another option for him, and that is let him pray Arbit. And we learned if you say Ahavat Olam, that can count for Birkat Torah. So you tell the bar mitzvah boy, listen, pray Arbit, Techaven and Ahavat Olam for the mitzvah. But we just have to remember that you have to make sure to tell him when he prays Arbit, it has to be after Shkiah. Yeah. If he's going to pray Arbit early, so then he's still praying when he's a katan. So he has to pray Arbit that night late. Chabad says the best thing to do, because maybe some opinions will say that the Birkat Torah that he made in the morning carries over. So just to get out of Safek, Chabad says we tell the bar mitzvah boy on the morning of his bar mitzvah, meaning the day before. When you make Birkat Torah this morning, have kavanah that you only want your Birkat Torah to last till sunset. So if we have a negative kavanah, you don't want it to carry. So therefore, at least it makes it easier for us to allow him to make Birkat Torah when he becomes a mitzvah, or at least to have kavanah in Ahavat Olam. If you look at Lamed Chet, I'll read you Lamed Chet on page 104. Katan Shegdil, he became bar mitzvah. There is makom lomar. There is room to say that on the first night of his bar mitzvah, he's a gadol. He shouldn't learn without Birkat Torah, even though he made it in the morning. But he made it at the time that he was exempt, because it's only the Zvav Chinuch, and therefore the beracha that he made then really doesn't count, and it's not going to obligate him now that he's bar mitzvah. So therefore, Chabad says to get around this issue, the best thing is let him pray Arbit after Shki'ah, let him have kavanah Ahavat Olam, and we'll be able to solve it in that way. But remember we learned earlier, whenever you use Ahavat Olam, you have to learn. Now, what is he learning? Shema, we said, is not considered learning. But we did say that if he's in a proud and say Shila Ma'alot Esayinai El Harim, he can use Shila Ma'alot Esayinai El Harim as the Devrei Torah. So, at this point over here today, we've accomplished a few things. Number one, we've established clearly the obligation of woman. We established that a ger has to make the beracha. We established the level of a katan, and we also learned about a boy that becomes bar mitzvah. Now, just to review very quickly some of the items that you might see on the test. Now, I'm not allowed really to give you the answers because it's it's cheating. But it's not cheating because we don't want you to fail. We don't want you to fail. We want you to pass the test. So I'm gonna just give you some of the items that might appear on the test, so you know what exactly. Cliff notes, a little review, just so you know to prepare over Shabbat on these topics. We started to learn about the 100 berachot. So the question was, when do the me'ah berachot start? Does it start from the morning? Does it start from the night? We discussed, are ladies obligated in me'ah berachot? We talked about Shabbat, the different ways on Shabbat to gain the missing blessings. We talked about, is it allowed to generate extra blessings? For example, leaving dessert till after Birkat Hamazon in order to get few berachot, or is that a problem of beracha she'ena tzricha? We talked about if, let's say, one is eating seudat shlishi, and his seudat shlishi goes into Motzei Shabbat. Those berachot, are they Shabbat or are they Motzei? Or for that matter, he accepted Shabbat early on Friday. We discussed which day do you count those berachot to as well. Furthermore, we questioned when it comes to Birkat Torah, we want to know, is it the Oraita? Is it the Rabbanan? We also questioned what items do you make Birkat Torah on? What do you have to learn? Is it Tanakh only? Is it Gemara? Do you have to understand what you're learning in order for the Birkat Torah to be Hechal? We went through that as well. Major issues. Do you have to make Birkat Torah when you're thinking Torah? Do you have to make Birkat Torah when you are writing Divrei Torah? Or when you are listening to Divrei Torah, listening to a tape, listening to a recording? These are all questions that we discussed. Yesterday we discussed at length sleeping. Whether you slept during the day, does it undo your Birkat Torah? Whether you sleep at night. you slept after Chatzot, and then you woke up and made it. All the different examples of somebody that sleeps and regarding because of Torah. Today we discussed ladies, Gerim, and Ketari. So that's basically the whole curriculum of this section. The main points that one would have to. So again, if you heard the cases I just gave you and you can answer correctly all the dinim, more or less that we just talked about, you'll be very, very successful on that bechina. Hashem tzaddik yibchan. Hashem tests the tzaddikim. Abraham Avinu had 10 tests. Okay, so there wasn't like these easy tests, but there were tests nonetheless. And he didn't have an option to come along and say, I'm going to opt out on, I'll pass. No passing. Baruch Hashem, Borei Olam wants us to, Shara Bechina. He wants us to take the Bechinot. It's a good review for nobody else. Nobody's going to tell your wife what you got on the mark. Nobody's going to, not publicizing the test, but it's a good Hazara. Okay, we'll tell all our members, Hazak Baruch, another week of Bekiim, and we'll continue this on Sunday. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen.